All right, welcome in. I'm the Kodiak, and today I'm here to talk about what I think of the Broncos drafting Bo Nix. But before we get into it, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. Let's dive right into it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the Broncos drafting Nix. Do you think they reached? Do you think they got great value? Do you think they hit a home run? Do you think they're going to totally strike out? Let me know what you guys think. So, I'm a Broncos fan. People ask me what my favorite team is, and if you couldn't already tell, even though I mention it semi-frequently in my videos, and this is the team I probably talk about the most on this channel, I'm a Broncos, Avalanche, and Dortmund fan. Those are the three I really follow and really care about since I grew up in Colorado. I don't live there anymore, but regardless, on this channel, I said that Bo Nix was not someone that I was excited about due to limited sample size, but in the days leading up to the draft, looking past the top three quarterbacks, and the fact that the Broncos were realistically not going to get Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix was the one that I kind of leaned towards from the upper echelon of quarterbacks that was not the top three. So the way I could describe my feelings toward the pick is lukewarm, but positive. I would have been absolutely irate if we selected J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix in the first, and it seems like Atlanta and Minnesota saved us from that even being an option. Now, with J.J. McCarthy, the Jets did not have that great of a price for Minnesota to go up. So I feel like the Broncos, if they really wanted McCarthy, they could have leapfrogged Minnesota to make that happen. But ultimately, they decided to stay put. And then Penix was a complete grenade chucked in there by Atlanta. So the Broncos took the sixth quarterback in the draft. And honestly, I don't even care that he was the sixth quarterback in the draft. I think he's going to be good regardless. People are just like, well, he was the sixth quarterback taken in this draft, 12th offensive player, and the analytical cutoff from a quarterback being a bad bet to succeed or a good bet to succeed is literally the 12th overall slot. So if he was drafted in let's say you draft him in the early second round, when you give early second capital to a quarterback, that's kind of showing that you have a year or two for them to succeed, and if they don't show anything, you're just going to move on and cut bait. But Nix now has a large safety net. Even if he's bad his first year, I can see the Broncos giving him at least probably 2 or 3 before they decide to truly move on. And I didn't hate Nix throughout the draft process. I just thought he was a really tough eval, and I definitely didn't have a first-round grade on him because Oregon played in an offense that threw 70% of their passes within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. That's an absolutely appalling number. But as a fan, I trust Sean Payton, and when they asked their analytics department to filter in key principles like third down, red zone, game-winning drives, Bo Nix played about as well as any quarterback in the class. So that's why the Broncos took him, or at least that's why their process diverted them to Bo Nix. And they also said that when Bo Nix was visiting the team facility, when he was there in Dove Valley, he was given an install packet at 5 p.m. the previous day. And then when he showed up at the facility the next day at 9 a.m., they could tell that he absolutely grinded the studying. So hopefully for our sake, he can, learn things quickly, and hopefully he can grasp things rather quickly. But Bo Nix and Michael Penix, I do just want to say this. They both deserve their props from me this year because those guys were historically great at not getting sacked. And while Bo Nix is slightly less impressive due to Penix, just because the offense he played in that threw so many screen passes, I want to give Bo Nix his flowers as well, but Penix was historically great at not getting sacked. So, little tidbit there. But if I was the Broncos, would I have taken Nix at 12th overall? This is like me having the pick power, me having, the ability to decide. And I get it, because on one hand, it was probably a reach based on talent, but when you consider the ginormous QB run in this class, especially considering the Penix grenade thrown in by Atlanta, they had to act fast. And no way was your quarterback room next year going to be Ben DiNucci, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson. I refuse to believe it. If I was the GM of the Broncos, would I have taken him there? I mean, I feel like I'm pretty objective and factual when it comes to this, and I want to avoid bias. And most of my Broncos talk is negative on this channel because I try to be objective. But I would say if I was the GM of the Broncos and I had the pick power, I would have picked Bo Nix there. So in college, he had a really bizarre arc at Auburn. I think we can say with confidence that he was forced out by Harsin because Bo Nix was night and day the player at Oregon compared to his time at Auburn. Oregon ran a very bizarre offense where they placed a big emphasis on screens, slants, and flats, the easy stuff. And Oregon had some pretty good skill position players too, like Troy Franklin and Terrence Ferguson, whose older brother I actually sat next to in math my senior year. So there's a little interesting tidbit for you. But the sad thing about getting drafted to Denver is while the offensive line played well last year, we still have long-term questions, and I do believe they overperformed above their talent because in the games they did lose, their offensive line looked terrible. But I believe in this offensive ecosystem behind the scenes because it was a clear priority for the Broncos to upgrade their skill position rooms heading into this year, drafting Audric Estime and drafting Bo Nix as #1 college target and Troy Franklin, who I personally thought was going to go at least late first, early second, somewhere in that range. But there are still a lot of long-term questions for the Broncos, but Sean Payton has a lot of experience running successful offenses. Granted, it remains to be seen how good he actually is without Breeze because we don't have a large sample size due to that data. And early results are not exactly promising, but he did have our team overperform last year. But talent-wise, I think Troy Franklin might, no joke, be the most talented skill position guy Nix has played with so far, and I don't think it's going to change overnight in Denver, barring a Marvin Mims breakout, if he can actually play real wide receiver. Obviously, we have Cortland Sutton too, but at the same time, those guys need to show a lot more consistency down to down, but I'm excited for what Bo Nix can do, even if I don't think he's going to be a home run hitter, even if I don't think he's going to, be one of those super freak quarterbacks who I absolutely love and can take over the game and one whose payoff is going to be able to win the MVP on any given year. The idea of CJ Stroud coming in and not really having that much mobility, it's kind of deterred me away from the fact that you need your quarterback to be a superhuman, and Bo Nix can just be a functional cog in a good machine. If that's all they need him to be, then that's great. But ultimately, I hope he's something more. I hope we can finally get high-level quarterback play because we haven't had that since Peyton Manning left. So, yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on what I think about the Bo Nix pick. Am I happy with it? Sure. Yeah, I'm lukewarm, but I'm positive. I am just happy that the Broncos finally have a direction. It's been years since they've had a direction, and even with the lack of talent on this team, I expect the coaching staff to get a few players right. I hope we can get guys to perform because Lord knows that we need it. Lord knows that a team that's been barren with talent, that got rid of all their picks for the Russell Wilson trade, we had pretty much no talent. And so I hope Nix can succeed in this environment. Wouldn't be surprised if he does, wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, but I'm going to be rooting for him. So that does it for me, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.